Hello students, myself Dr. Vimal Kumar Kanungo, Assistant Professor, Department of Botany, Government Nagarjuna Postgraduate College of Science, Raipur CG. I am here with video lecture number 4, that is on IUCN Categories of Threat. This topic is in the MSc 4th semester Botany second paper syllabus, that is in the Unit 3. IUCN Categories of Threat. Normally a full question is asked in this topic, like describe the IUCN categories of threat or write an account on IUCN categories of threat. So today we shall discuss what is IUCN categories of threat. So let us go to our first slide. In first slide you will see IUCN. What is IUCN? IUCN is International Union for Conservation of Nature and Natural Resources. This is the full form of IUCN, and IUCN is an international organization and which was established in the year 1948. And this IUCN, this international organization, is working in the field of nature conservation and the sustainable use of natural resources. So whatever natural resources we are having, how we should use it sustainability that fulfill our demand in present, and it will remain for the future generation. So that sustainable use of natural resources and how the nature can be conserved, these are the two important functions of IUCN. If you see the key points of IUCN, you will see that what IUCN actually does. It does data collection, analysis, research, field project and education. These are the ways by which IUCN normally collects its information. IUCN compiles all its information into a list which we call it as a red list. So it is a compilation of a very valuable compilation of IUCN that we call it as a red list, and this red list is a access. It assesses the conservation status of various species worldwide. So throughout the world, the species which we know, which we have identified, those species, their conservation status can be assessed by this IUCN, and that is compiled into a book that we call it as a Red Databook, and this list is known as a red list. The mission of IUCN is to influence, to encourage and to assist. These are the three missions: influence, encourage and assist. It influences, encourages, assists all the societies throughout the world, and those societies, they are made for conservation of nature and sustainable use of natural resources. So this is the key mission of IUCN. IUCN, it's headquartered at Glanz, Switzerland, and 161 countries are member of IUCN. There are 16,151 experts are associated with the commission, and 1066 NGOs are working with the IUCN, and there are 217 states and government agencies. They are also associated with the IUCN. So this is a international organization. So we are seeing that lot of associations are there in form of member, commission and various state and government agency. Their association is there with the IUCN. Now there are three main objectives of IUCN. The first objective is valuing. Whatever natural resources are available, how to conserve them and what is their value. So valuation of each of the natural resource and their conservation aspect is the main objective of the IUCN. And second one is the effective and equitable. governance of natural use. Whatever natural resources we are using, how this should be done in an effective manner, there that should be governed, that should be effectively governed and equitably it is made available to citizens. Then deploying nature-based solution, various nature-based solution to climate and development. That these are the three main objectives for the IUCN. Next slide, we are seeing what is the status of IUCN in India. If you see, India is a mega biodiversity country, and it has four biodiversity hotspots like Himalayas, Western Ghat, the Northeast, the Nicobar Island. These are the four biodiversity hotspots in India, and around 7 to 8% species is already been recorded in India, and that accounts 46,000 plant and 91,000 animal species that is recorded in India. And in India, IUCN became the India became the member of IUCN in the year 1969, and in 2007 for the first time the office was established in New Delhi. This is the status of various individuals placed in various categories of IUCN, and that is the recent status, where you can see there are the categories like extinct and number of species in the world. So extinct category, those individuals which are now not present on earth, they are vanished, they are extinct. Those, the number of species are 868. Extinct in the wild, there are some species they are extinct in the wild, they are 78. Critically endangered 5176, endangered 7705 individual species, vulnerable 11,654 species are vulnerable, while 4,406 are near threatened and 36,952 species are least concern. So in this way the total number is 82,065, but now this number is further increased to 1,12,000, and these data is already changed in recent year. Now what is IUCN Red List? As I told you that what is Red List? So Red List is a compilation of IUCN, and it has got a comprehensive information, a detailed information of various species and their global conservation status. Those species, they may be of plant species or animals species. And IUCN Red List is a powerful tool. It is a powerful tool to handle regarding the information and catalyze the various action for biodiversity conservation. What are the biodiversity conservation acts are done, and the information related to it is available in the Red List. And IUCN Red List provides so many information in which population size, the trend, whether it is increasing or decreasing, the geographical range, that is the extension or the distribution of species, and the requirement of the habitat where the species is living. All such informations are also available in the Red List. So to date there are 76,000 species have been assessed, and more than 22,000 species are noted to be the risk of extinction. So this is a Red List is a comprehensive list with various information of various species group like mammals, amphibians, birds, corals and conifers. So their comprehensive assessment has been done in the IUCN Red List. Next slide. Here you can see that in Red Databook, IUCN has categorized the various categories of threat. So here you can see, and these threats are common to the flora and fauna. They are used for both flora and fauna, plants as well as for animals. So according to the degree of threat, how much threat is there in wild condition to any species, that has been categorized into different groups, different categories like extinct in the wild, critically endangered, vulnerable, near threatened, least concern, data deficient and not evaluated. Now come to the next. These are the categories. Now let us see these categories in a next slide. Here you can see these IUCN categories. They have been classified into two groups. One is the group where the species they have evaluation. They are evaluated, and some species they are not evaluated. So there are two broad group. You can see that this is the non-evaluated group, and all above 8 groups are evaluated groups. So first classification of these IUCN categories, that is on the basis of evaluation. So above these 8 categories are evaluated on the basis of evaluated data. They have been categorized into 8 groups, and the last group is not evaluated. Now all these 8 evaluated groups, they have been classified into 2 groups, that is on the basis of data availability, adequate data and data deficient. So above 7 groups are having adequate data. They have been categorized on the basis of adequate data, means sufficient data is available to categorize them. While the data deficient means here the individuals are, the species are having less data, so they cannot be further categorized into above 7 groups. So this is the way in which adequate, on the basis of adequate data, the 7 categories were made. They are extinct in the wild, critically endangered, vulnerable, near threatened and least concern. These are the categories, 7 categories, which is based on the basis of availability of data. Adequate data is available to categorize them. And the other group, which is data deficient, means sufficient data is not available to classify the species into above 7 groups. Let us go to the next slide. Now we shall discuss all the threat categories, IUCN categories of threat. They have been classified into 9 groups. Let us see. The first one is the extinct group. This category is only used for species which are no longer exist. Means there is a species which is not available on the earth. Now it is completely removed or vanished, or it is died. It is not available in the wild in any of the localities where they are found. The second thing which we will see, that the included species are extinct, means they are not found in the wild, but some species they may be found in surviving in cultivation stage. Then there is another definition by which we can understand this extinct group. That is the last existing member dies. If in any population the last member when dies and there is no individual member is available on the earth, those species are regarded as extinct species, and there are such 868 species are extinct in the world. Second group is extinct in the wild. So there is not known to have living specimen in the wild. If any of the specimen is not present in the wild, but they may be maintained in the artificial environment. So in wild condition species is not present, but in artificial environment they can be maintained. They can be reintroduced by several plant breeding program. So if by plant breeding program their reintroduction is possible, they may live in artificial environment, but their existence in wild condition is not there. So such species are known as extinct in the wild, and there are such 78 species regarded as extinct in the wild. This is the second category. Now the third category is critically endangered. CE, we are denoting it. Here the species is facing a very high risk of extinction. So it is the species which may get into the state of extinction. There are 5,176 species are critically endangered in the wild. So how this category will be classified? So on the basis of their reduction, if it is suspected that any species, it may reduce to 80% in over 10 years are in over 3 generations. If any species, individual species reduces to 80%, such species are known as a critically endangered. And here one estimate is given that there are 250 mature individuals are now available. Such species are regarded as critically endangered species. Next category is endangered. This endangered species, this group is also here, species are facing high risk of extinction in near future. They are going to face higher risk of extinction, means they may get extinct, they will be removed from the earth. So there are such 7,000 endangered species are there, but how we shall categorize them? So the basis is, if suspected reduction, if reduction is 50% in next 10 years or 3 generations, over 10 years or in over 3 generations, if a species is reduced to 50%, then such species are categorized into endangered species. And there are such estimate number is 2,500 species are individuals are available, then it is categorized into endangered category. And taxa, their extinction, their survival depends on various factors, and if they are operating continuously, so a species may get into the state of extinction. And various reasons for their extinctions are like critical levels, like habitat loss is one of the important reason that species, their number reduces drastically, and there is an immediate danger of extinction. So this category where the suspect is there, that reduction suspected, it is suspected that 50% will reduce in next 10 years or 3 generations, then the species are categorized into endangered one. Next category is vulnerable. It is not critically endangered or endangered, but still facing the risk of extinction. There are such 11,650 species under this category. How we will recognize them, or how we will categorize them? So IUCN categorized it on the basis of their suspected reduction. If the species number reduces, species individual number reduces to 20% in over 10 years or 3 generations, if 20% species individuals are reducing, then those species are categorized into vulnerable. And there are estimated number is approximately 10,000 species individuals, mature individuals are there, then they are regarded as a vulnerable category. Taxa believed to like to move into endangered category near future. If certain species is vulnerable, and in near future, if the various reasons are operating, which is they are pushing the species into state of extinction. So such species, they may change their status from vulnerable to endangered, and endangered to critically endangered, and then extinction. So they may shift their status if their overexploitation is continue, extensive destruction is continue, if there is an environmental disturbance, so there is a loss of population, and due to this their number is reducing, so the vulnerable species may shift into endangered, critically endangered, and extinction category. So population are still abundant but are under threat from serious adverse factors throughout the range. So in this way we have seen that species, they are vulnerable, they may get out from this vulnerable category, or they may shift into the category of endangered and critically endangered due to various reasons operating, like I told you, overexploitation and the extensive destruction, environmental disturbance, so on. Next category is rare. Rare category where the population is very small and it is restricted into a very specific area where the range is not more extensive range, it is scattered, it is distributed largely, and it is having a very small population, and taxa is not at present, neither they are endangered nor they are vulnerable, but still they are at the risk. And those species, they are very much found very much scattered. those species, they are found localized into a very specific geographical area or in a very specific habitat, and they are thinly scattered in a more extensive range. Such species, they don't have immediate threat, they are not endangered, and their size of population is very small, and it has a very restricted distribution. So alternately, a wider distribution may be severely restricted by its habitat. So as the species, individuals are having a wider distribution, this is the reason that they are having a small population in habitat, and they are in the borderline of rare, neither rare nor threatened. So there is very difficult to classify them into rare species or in the threatened species. So there is a very thin borderline which separates rare with the not rare species individuals. Next, the factors which is used for identifying these rare individuals. One is area of distribution. In Red Databook, these two criteria is largely used for identifying the rare individuals, like the species, their area of distribution, whether it is having restricted to certain place or they are scattered, their density, population density is small. So area of distribution is considered when the species is considered for rare category. And the second criteria is population size, whether the size is small or a large size, or it is transferred to it comes under the threat, or the number is gradually depleting. So the rare individuals, they may get into the category of vulnerable species category. So population size and area of distribution, they are the two criteria used for identifying the rare individuals. But normally rare individuals, they are found in very stable population, where the population fluctuation is very less. Next category of IUCN is lower risk, LR. So lower risk, it is further classified into three categories: conservation dependent, near threatened, and least concern. Conservation dependent, where the taxa would come in threatened category. So in next 5 years, if any species individual, it comes under any threat category and it requires conservation, it is dependent on conservation, because the species individuals, they have entered into certain threatened category. So they are known as a conservation dependent. Second is known as a near threatened. So they don't come under the threatened category but do not qualify for conservation dependent, means immediately they do not require any conservation. They don't come in the first category, but they are very close to the vulnerable category. Least concern, they neither come under this conservation dependent category nor in near threatened category, but still. So this third category is known as a least concern category, where the individuals, they do not qualify for the above two categories of conservation dependent and near threatened. Next category is data deficient. Here the individuals, they have lack of information, data abundance and distribution is lacking, means ample data is not available about their distribution is not known, the information is very less, and inadequate information of extinction based on distribution of population status. So here the individuals, they don't have inadequate information regarding their threat is available. Hence those all individuals, they have been categorized into data deficient category. Next is known as a not evaluated. Here all the individuals are included, they haven't been evaluated, because the information related to them are not available. So far they haven't been evaluated. So such individuals, species are kept in not evaluated category. Next is intermediate category. Intermediate category where the taxa is known to be extinct, or either it may be extinct, endangered, vulnerable, or rare. So these are the four important threat category, but the enough information is not available with us that we can classify them or categorize them into extinct or endangered category or vulnerable category or rare category. So data information is not available, or not ample data information is available with us that we should categorize them into these four category. In such stage, such species, they are categorized as intermediate species. Indeterminate species, they are known as a indeterminate. Intermediate, or you can say that they are indeterminate species. This category is used for species recorded as extinct, or possibly extinct, or probably extinct. Here you can see that the individuals they have been reported, either we should place them extinct in extinct category, or they may be possibly extinct, they are close to the extinct, or probably extinct, they may become extinct. So assumptions are associated with them. So we are not able to categorize them in extinct category or endangered category. They are as known as a indeterminate or intermediate category. Next category is insufficiently known. Insufficiently known, such species which are not having ample information, lack of information is there to categorize the species into any of the threat category. So definitely such species, they are regarded as a insufficiently known. So insufficiently known species does not have to be proved to be whether they belong to any of these category, endangered, vulnerable, or rare. So such information is not available, so they are insufficiently known. And in an insufficiently known species is a complex genus. Why we are not knowing the information regarding the species which is categorized as a insufficiently known? Because they are complex genus. They are not easily distinguished on the basis of field characters. Such species cannot be distinguished from one another. Such species therefore come in this category, insufficiently known. And insufficiently known species can always be transferred to another category when further information becomes available. So insufficiently known species, if any information, any supporting information is available in the future, in that case such species can be classified are categorized into any of the threat category. Insufficiently known species, if all such species which we regarded as a insufficiently known, it motivates all the researchers, all the workers to study their real or the true status where they can be categorized. Out of danger. Now this is another category where the species doesn't come under any of the threat categories, and they are now considered relatively secure. They don't come under any of the categories of threat, because effective conservation measure has been taken. Those species are conserved properly, and earlier they were in the previous threat, but now their survival, previous threat to the survival is removed. So whatever threat to those species, now it has been removed. Now such species have been conserved properly. So such species are regarded as out of danger. In practice, endangered and vulnerable categories may include temporarily. So species today, the species which is in endangered condition are in a vulnerable category. If proper measures are used to conserve them, and near future the population increases, the population recovers, and due to some remedial action, in that case they just get into the category of out of danger. Some species will in due course recolonize. Some species, they initially in the status of category of threat, but now they have recolonized into new habitats and become common. So they now from the threat category, no longer they remain in the threat category, now they come out from the category of threat to rare or vulnerable. So such a species we call it as a out of danger. So you can say species they may have shift from endangered condition or from vulnerable condition to out of danger condition, or many species out of danger if they are overexploited. In that condition they may get into any of the threat categories. Only species in the categories extinct, endangered, vulnerable and rare are indeterminate are included in the Red Databook. So these are the important categories which is well described in the Red Databook. So finally the conclusion, what IUCN categories of threat that we conclude. So we have seen that IUCN is an international organization. What it is doing, it is just conserving the nature and the natural resources. So IUCN, and they have collected information of various species and compiled into a red list, and that red list is a very important document of IUCN where we have a information of threat level to various individual species studied so far. So red list is an effective tool. You can say in other words that red list is an effective tool for drawing attention to species threatened. How many species are threatened and they require immediate conservation measures. They require conservation practices to secure them. So such information is available, and why the species they are in the state of threatened due to climate change. So due to climate change, due to various other environmental factors, species they come into their population is declining, their individuals are just vanishing, and the species they get into the status of threat, and such species they have been categorized by IUCN in red list into various categories, and according to those categories we can plan various conservation measures to protect such species. So in that regard, IUCN has become a very effective tool to conserve our nature as well as our natural resources. So this way we conclude this topic that where we have seen the various categories of threat which is synthesized by IUCN, which is an international organization for international. This organization is doing lot of work for conservation of nature and natural resources. And this way we finish our topic here, and this is a very important topic where various questions are asked. Thank you very much. In our last lecture I discussed about biological diversity, and link is mentioned in the description. Thank you very much.